Fred Voccola is a Miami-based tech entrepreneur, philanthropist, board director, serving as chairman and CEO of Simpro Group, and co-founder and vice chairman of Kaseya. I'm going to have to ask him how to pronounce that. An internationally recognized authority on AI, cybersecurity, and hyper-automation. He also sits on the board of Florida International University and chairs the Cooper Voccola Family Foundation, supporting animal, veteran, and child welfare initiatives. In his new book, The Coming Disruption, Voccola argues that AI is driving the fastest economic and organizational transformation in modern history, measured not in decades, but in months. Drawing on decades leading global tech companies, he contends that AI will double worker productivity within 6 to 12 months, and warns that companies who hesitate will face shrinking margins, lost competitiveness, and a widening gap they may never close. The book offers a direct, practical roadmap for leaders, workers, and organizations navigating the AI era. Welcome to the program, Fred.
Thanks for having me, guys. Pleasure to be here.
I hate AI. So basically, am I going nowhere because I have no trust for AI? I'm afraid that the questions I ask are going to be in some memory somewhere. It lacks total privacy. It's a dangerous tool, yet we're told we have to use it, almost like we have to submit to be subjugated by algorithms. Well, what's going on, my friend?
So everything you said is correct. Everything that is inputted into AI, everything that we do on our phones, every time we drive on our car, unfortunately, Big Brother is everywhere. And if we want to participate in the digital modern age, that's kind of one of the negatives to it. But you know, it is a reality. Every time that we use AI, everything is recorded, everything is kept. I don't know how much you trust these organizations to maintain privacy. I don't. So I assume everything I do on these platforms is being recorded. But nevertheless, it is probably the most significant and most powerful piece of disruptive technology in human history. And I don't mean just human history, modern history, where we're talking about computers and the digital age. I mean, if you go back to some of the most modern technological disruptions of humanity, you can go all the way back to things like the written word or coinage replacing the barter system, things like electricity, things like the steam engine, the printing press. These were massive technological advances that helped human productivity and, made human productivity substantially higher and allowed our quality of life to improve. AI is 100 times any one of them, and it's doing it much faster. So for the first time, we actually have a technology that doesn't just help people work better or smarter or faster. It actually does the work. And that is what makes AI so interesting and so powerful and such an important discussion point for us to think about, both in the business world as well as as citizens of our country.
But doesn't that mean, Fred, as a CEO, company leader, that it means we're replacing humanity? We're getting rid of jobs. We're getting rid of people. We don't need them anymore, right?
So the answer is yes. But there's always a but, right? Or yes with a comma. And it's interesting. If you go back throughout history, every major technological innovation has caused disruption, right? When Xerox invented the copy machine, it put a lot of people out of work. Things like that. When computers came about, or electronic printers, all these different things. And up till now, there's always been the idea that the workforce will retrain, which it has, and every technological or every major innovation that disrupted, it destroyed, and then it created a different economy, new jobs, more growth, not just in terms of output, but in the job potential. And right now we have an incredibly low unemployment rate. I think that given what AI does and the speed at which it does it, See, AI is, if you think about AI, forget the technology, forget all the fancy mumbo-jumbo of all the Silicon Valley people. Really what AI is an unlimited army of experts in every single, and I mean every single, subject matter in the world. Experts at every task in the world. And it's better at it than people. So AI replaces the work. Yeah.
What's the problem with that?
Fred. This is the Merdnator. This is the Merdnator, Fred.
What's the problem with that? Because if we're not creating any new tasks, because that's the one thing AI can't really do is generate new ideas. It can come up with new concepts that already exist and, combine stuff and might make it seem like it's new. But it can't generate new tasks, new concepts, new ideas that have never existed. It's not able to do that at this point. So if AI can just do stuff that already exists, doesn't that free us up to explore more things?
It does. It 100% does. I think it's going to be it'll create about 100% productivity gain every 12 months. And to put that in perspective, it usually takes about 200 years to get 100% productivity gain out of a worker. But this happens every year. So the disruption will be massive. A couple examples. I can talk about companies that I own, I run. I've had departments of content marketing of 40, 50 people down to 3 people. 3 people.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you think it would be a good idea for us to ever go to a system where people don't necessarily need to work anymore? We just have a universal income because we got all these machines that can do everything. And as somebody who's running companies, yourself, do you ever see a situation where you're like, man, I got to lay all these people off? Wouldn't it just make sense for us to come together, all these high-level companies come together and come up with some kind of solution where let's just pay people to stay at home and the work is already done. We're making so much money. We don't need people working. Could you ever see a society that exists like that?
No, I don't think so. I wouldn't want one either. I think you have to look at disruption. So if AI is automating tasks and eliminating manual tasks and replacing the work, so instead of 30 workers, you need 5. And if that happens everywhere, the opposite of that is there's no consumers to buy anything. So if we're looking at a macro level, we have some serious things to think about with society. It'd be nice to say, let's slow the pace of AI down so everyone can adjust to it. The challenge is no one around the world is going to take the lead in doing that. If we do it and China doesn't, we're screwed, right? And vice versa. So we can't. You have to keep innovating. So there will have to be solutions that we as an American society think about to maintain social order if we have 30 to 50% of white-collar workers that make up the vast majority of income tax and the vast majority of sales tax and consumption in our consumption-based economy, if they are out of work. And the jobs that they will be able to get are jobs that haven't been, quote-unquote, AI'd. So if you're a software engineer making $150,000 a year in San Francisco or New York or Chicago or wherever you live, LA, and now those jobs, you don't need them. AI can write code better. So there's 20% of those jobs available. So the 35-year-old person who's $150,000 in debt from school loans, just bought his first home 3 years ago, had his first kid, and all of a sudden large language models allow software engineering to be automated. That person has spent 10, 12 years of their career developing an expertise that isn't needed anymore.
So have we ever done this in history? Have we ever done this in history where we intentionally go against human nature and slow down progress and slow down somebody else wanting to create an opportunity for themselves to become tremendously rich by optimizing something and, eliminating a cost and expense? So you're saying we've never done this in history. Why would we do it now?
No, it's not that we've never done it in history. We've never done it this fast. The speed of this disruption is something that we have never seen before. So I'll give you a real-life example. Think about electricity. Electricity, I think we'd all agree, has probably been a massive net positive to society, to our economy. It allows the modern way of life. It took over 120 years for the electrification of our country to really happen. had to lay all the wire, you had to generate the power, everything had to change. And with AI, so there are so many industries that no longer exist because of electricity, right? And so many things changed. Well, AI, if you're a book publisher, or if you're a software developer, if you're an advertising executive, or if you're a copywriter or anything, just about every job, you can jump on right now with the infrastructure that exists and make yourself 2, 3, 4, 5 times as productive.
Hey, Fred, we have to take a quick commercial break. Have no fear when we return. Fred will rejoin us. You can learn more about Fred at www.simprogroup.com. You'll also find his book, The Coming Disruption, on Amazon and the ComingDisruption.com website. Stay tuned. We'll be right back after these messages. Fred Voccola will return to talk about AI, productivity, and why companies that wait are doomed. But hey, no pressure.
Over the last 30 years, Newman Ferrara, a New York City law firm, has evolved into a national practice focused on real estate, commercial, litigation, civil rights, class actions, and other complex litigation, representing many of the city's largest property owners, managing agents, and thousands of tenants. Newman Ferrara handles some of the nation's most significant class actions and civil rights matters. Newman Ferrara at 1250 Broadway in New York City. Go online to newmanferrara.com. That's newmanferrara.com. Listen to the firm's name partner, Lucas Ferrara, every Saturday at 10 a.m. on Dottie Herman's longest-running real estate radio program, Eye on Real Estate, on AM 970. A real estate lawyer for 35 years, Lucas is a professor at New York Law School and is also a published author with books on real estate and New York's landlord-tenant law. Tune in Saturdays at 10 a.m. to hear Lucas's unique perspective and advice on Eye on Real Estate.
Wish there was an easier way to navigate the world of real estate? If only there was a way to learn from the best. Well, now there is. Saturdays at 10 a.m., our very own Dottie Herman, Vice Chair of Douglas Elliman, gives you the inside track to what is hot in real estate. Stay one step ahead in today's seller's market as Dottie gives her tips on how to make it through the tricky waters of real estate. Doesn't matter if you're new to the game or a seasoned vet, you need to listen to Eye on Real Estate. Dottie and her terrific team of experts will guide you as sellers and buyers to make sure you're getting the best value for your property. Whether you want to become a real estate agent or work within the business, there's no better person to learn from than the great Dottie Herman. She's a legend. She's the best, period. Tune in to Eye on Real Estate, Saturdays at 10 a.m., here on AM 970, The Answer. That's Eye on Real Estate. Don't miss it, Saturdays at 10 a.m. here on AM 970, The Answer.
More than 6 million kids in the U.S. have ADHD, and many aren't getting the support they need. At understood.org, we can help. Sometimes in class, the only thing your child can focus on are the thoughts racing through their head.
Why am I always falling behind? Why do I feel so alone? So different.
Your child is looking to you for answers. But as a parent, you probably have a lot of questions too. What should I do next? Where do I even start? At understood.org, we provide parents with the resources they need to help kids with ADHD thrive. Your child wants to thrive. Be the reason they do. Visit understood.org/thereason to get started.
Welcome back to Shake It Off with Mert and Lucas, live on AM 970, The Answer.
Welcome back. We've been speaking with Fred Voccola, who's a veteran tech leader and philanthropist whose companies have helped define the modern IT and automation landscape. In his book, The Coming Disruption, he lays out how AI fueled hyper-automation will transform industries worldwide, and he does it with the calm of someone who's already seen the future's calendar. You could learn more about Fred's company at www.simprogroup.com. simprogroup.com. You'll find his book, The Coming Disruption, on Amazon or wherever books are sold, and you could read more about the book at thecomingdisruption.com. Of course, we'll have links posted on our website, shakeitofflive.com. So did I get that right, Fred?
Exactly right, man. I appreciate it. You got it right on the mark.
Okay, wonderful. Our producer-engineer, Alex Garrett, has a question for you. Go ahead, Alex.
All right, you talk about copywriting and coding and all that. What about the accuracy? I feel like a lot of companies are getting rid of the actual people forsaking accuracy. Is that an accurate statement when it comes to AI?
I mean, is it accurate? So the term in AI a lot of times is called hallucinations, right? Sometimes however you're using AI, you'll get some wacky answer and accuracy won't be there. So there's lots of ways to get this automation benefit. The most common way isn't eliminating all people. It's if a certain function took 20 people, now maybe it takes 5. And they use a process called human in the loop. So with AI is just a super, super powerful, smart technology. It's not creative, as was mentioned earlier. It's going to respond to the inputs that are given, which is called prompting. So what the role for people is to define the outcome and continuing the quality process to make sure that there aren't hallucinations or crazy, wacky answers that come out. Over time, those crazy, wacky answers become fewer and fewer.
So
there are. Yeah.
Where are the human beings most valuable? Like, let's say we give up. We say, you know what, AI's got that. They got that. Where are human beings? Where are we still going to be most valuable? Because just being a part of the loop, to me, that sounds like I'm just, I'm a greeter at Walmart. People walk in, I just check the receipt. I'm just checking the receipt to make sure you pay for it. But everything that's going on in the store, I don't really know what's going on. So where are human beings still going to be important? Because AI is taking over everything.
Yeah, so one really important thing to note about AI is a terrible name. It's not intelligent. It doesn't think like a person. What AI does is it's able to process such massive amounts of information so quickly that it's able to pattern recognize. So it's not really thinking the way you or I would think.
Yeah,
so
I get that, but you try explaining that to people who are terrified of AI because they actually can have a conversation. Hey, Siri, what is my birthday? How old am I? Like, it can talk to you like a real person. So that's easy to say, but it's explaining it to people. Like, if I try to explain it to my grandma, she'll be, that AI is smarter and it can tell me everything. So
it's a very good point. Yeah, I think when you think about the workforce, right, the actual work that gets done, the most important thing is to be able to define the outcome that you want. So what I mean by that is people, at least in the foreseeable future, right, hopefully, we will always be required to define what is the outcome. So think about if we're building a house, right? If we're hammering nails into boards, that's a pretty generic task. Now you can automate a lot of that. You have, instead of a hammer, you have a nail gun. So nail gun probably replaced 15% of construction workers. It's a simplistic example. Or carpenters. Think of AI as a super incredible nail gun, but someone still has to design the house. Like what you want as an outcome. Now, some will argue this is probably a bad example because AI can do a pretty darn good job of designing a house. But you have to really prompt and to figure out the outcome and work with the powerful tool called AI to get your desired state. And the workers and the people who are able to do that tend to be creative thinkers, tend to be people who are great communicators. Those are the people that are going to really thrive in the AI era.
What about the regular people who, they might not be that gifted? Where's the hope for them.
Yeah. So here's the part. First off, as a species, we are incredibly resilient. As a country, we always figure out a way. So there's that piece of it. I will say there is going to be, and we're already seeing it. We're seeing it in a lot of different places. Just incredible amounts of disruption to what we've all been brought up our whole lives to think is the right way of doing it. Go to school, get an education, get a master's degree, get a super high-level degree, get as much expertise as you can in one topic. Well, the problem is a machine can probably do that topic better than any human being now. Right. So it's like, oh, my God, I wasted all that time and money. What am I going to do? It's a different world, and people, we all hate change, right? So it's going to be tough. And, it's in the world of competitiveness, we can't stop. Because if we stop, our enemies won't, and we're hosed. So we're going to see things that, as a free market individualist libertarian myself, I mean, we're going to see things like universal income, all these things that are like forbidden languages in the past or forbidden concepts. I think people are going to think about them and look at them, because if you have, in a period of 3 years, 50% of white-collar jobs go away. We've never seen anything like that.
Do you see AI or artificial intelligence, this whole market being so fractured where it is a situation where America needs to keep going because China is going to keep going? Or do you see a situation where, because I'm thinking it all rises at once and the machines are talking to one another and they don't have those allegiances that we do to our nations?
It's not like, it's not like the Terminator, it's not as if the machines are against the people. It's just a tool. AI is a incredibly powerful, dumb, unintelligent tool.
Well, until it wake up, a lot of people saying that ain't going to be the case for too much longer. It's going to wake up.
I mean, maybe. It depends. But I think in the line of sight that I think myself and most others would probably agree, is there's always, again, there's always a risk of the crazy happening. But I think that, for example, if I'm an energy exploration company and I'm exploring for energy and I'm not using the full capability of AI, and China's companies they'll win. And they control energy. Or if we're looking at new ways of satellite communications, or in the cyber world, ways of preventing cyber criminals, or becoming cyber espionage, or doing the things that we do like we do with Venezuela. If we're not leveraging AI, and our adversaries they win, whether it's business, military, anything, because it's so powerful. Imagine if you said to a country or to a company, you can't use electricity, but your competitors can, or you can't use a computer and your competitors can. You're done. There's no way to compete. So I think the country and the workers and the workforce and the businesses that embrace AI first will win. And then they will have the option, or not the option, they will then be in a position where, because they won, they can figure out the social ramifications on their terms.
Right.
Those who lose can't. Like, if you're a company and you're not AI first, I don't care what industry you're in, within 24 months, I promise you, they're done. And if you're a country who's not embracing the AI race, you'll be at a massive competitive disadvantage politically, economically, socially, and you won't have as much choice to make life better for your citizens or for your constituents. So that's kind of where it's happening. And it is happening faster than anything we've ever seen.
And to avoid being at a disadvantage, that's why everyone should pick up your book, The Coming Disruption. Unfortunately, Fred, we've run out of time. Would you believe it? It was a pleasure having you on the program. Learn more about Fred's company, www.simprogroup.com. You'll find his book, The Coming Disruption, on Amazon, wherever books are sold. And you could read more about his book at thecomingdisruption.com.